Fishin' Canada Show, brought to you in part by Sail, the Outdoors Superstore, Coleman, the Outdoor Company, Muscal, proudly Canadian since 1951, Cooper Tires, life's a road trip, come on, let's go, and Princecraft Boats, dominate the waters.
On today's show, we're going to address a problem that most anglers have to confront at some point in their fishing lives. You see, having spent more time in boats over the last 30 years than most people have spent in their cars, we decided it was high time to come up with a definitive answer to that age-old question.
What's the perfect fishing boat for me? A question we've been asked 1,000 times. Well, in the world of fishing boats, it seems there are two major buying groups. Group number one, we'll call them the conformists. These are, for the most part, hard-working, God-fearing, family-oriented, weekend fishing warriors. They tend to look for a boat that makes sense. You know, best meets their fishing needs without compromising the needs of others, such as family members or friends. The boats they buy tend to be undersized and underpowered, because this purchase must also be fiscally responsible and fit into the family budget.
A budget, by the way, that is usually authored by the same person who compiles the honey-do list and holds the key to the vault. I'm just saying. Although generally full of joy and happiness at the beginning, this purchase soon leads to some regrets, a little disappointment, and a whole lot of second guessing.
Then there's group number two. We'll call them the unencumbered. Unfortunately for these poor souls, they haven't found true happiness yet, or are in between stints of heavenly bliss, and therefore they've only got one master to serve, and that's themselves.
But here too, there's some form of compromise, and it usually boils down to money or supply or both. They generally can't afford the boat they really want, or their dream boat isn't available on the showroom floor, and they aren't willing to wait half a fishing season for it to be ordered.
So it's safe to assume that most of us here today fall into some variation of group 1 or 2, just as it's safe to say that there are literally hundreds of combinations and choices that go into making the final decision on the perfect fishing boat.
Well, today we're not going to deal with any of that nonsense. Nope. Today we're going to create and join a third group. We'll call ourselves the All-In Group. We're going to find out what it would be like to build a perfectly uncompromised fishing machine. We can spend money like a rock star. We've got no time restrictions. We don't even have a significant other that can interfere with this process. For this project, we are totally unshackled. Well, sort of, you know. Love you, honey.
The first and most obvious decision we have to make on creating the super boat is, do we go fiberglass or aluminum? There are gorgeous glass bass boats out there that'll hit 100 miles an hour on flat water. Don't know about you, but most of our fishing rarely takes place on flat water. What we need is a badass, high-performance, big water rig that fishes like one of those pretty little metal flake flash dancers.
Now, we're not engineering geniuses by any stretch of the imagination, but we think there just might be a reason why fighter jets and commercial airlines aren't built out of fiberglass. With the constant stress of speed and turbulence, they crumble like stale Melba toast. Even though it's an alloy, the elasticity of aluminum results in a larger capacity to absorb energy, and our fishing hot rod is going to need every bit of it.
If you spec it all out like we did, you'll find that H34 aluminum is lighter and stronger than glass, has a competitive edge in performance, and most importantly, it's totally recyclable. Aluminum it is. Whoa. So now let's talk design. In a perfect world, we'd love to have the look and feel of one of these beauties, but the attitude and overall performance of this baby. Up until now, that's just not been possible in the world of fishing boats. It's been a constant war between beauty and brawn. Well, the rules of engagement are about to change.
The base platform for Project FNC-1 is an Expedition 200 aluminum boat package from Princecraft, complete with a fire-breathing supercharged Merc Verado 250 outboard. With lots of hours on both Verados and Optimax products through the years, we decided that the ultimate fishing hot rod has to have the latest technology under the hood that's both eco-friendly and performance-oriented. Verado, hands down. This package retails for about 50 grand and comes fully loaded with electronics, trolling motor, tandem axle trailer, all kinds of goodies. Too bad we got to strip it all off. You see, our custom ground-up build is going to have some very significant upgrades in all those areas. We'll be hard-pressed to keep this baby under 100 grand.
This was one of the most difficult elements of the rig to get right. Chuck and the boys built something like 9 or 10 tin mock-ups before the real thing could be cut and bent from aluminum.
5 years we've been working on a design idea for the perfect fishing boat, and now it's finally coming together. We've got the perfect platform that we can build the ultimate fishing machine on. The Expedition series, introduced in 2013 by Princecraft Boats, was the missing link. When we first saw the specs on this hull, it was very clear. This was a performance boat in sheep's clothing. Now, all we need to do is strip back some of that wool and let that big bad wolf howl.
Oh, my arm. This was going to be a very serious do-over with a lot of custom fabrication that's just not feasible in today's automated assembly line boat manufacturing process. So, after consultation with the folks at Princecraft, they gave us their blessings to do it off-site.
So I called an old buddy of mine, Charles Chuck Michel of AJ Manufacturing, who's noted for taking on impossible projects that nobody else will touch. When I told him we wanted to strip a fully equipped boat package to the bare hull and completely redesign it, he laughed and said we were crazy, but quickly pointed out he specialized in crazy.
Good start. Look at that. The next step was to dismantle a perfectly good fishing boat right down to the brass tacks, or in this case, aluminum rivets. We decided to build our hot rod using 100% high-grade H34 aluminum. It's the strongest, lightest alloy available for this job. We had a pretty good idea of how much extra weight was going to be added in the way of goodies to this boat, so removing and replacing anything that didn't conform to H34 specs was not optional. Cost for this setup, 50 man-hours.
After finalizing on the overall dimensions and height for the new front deck, cross members had to be engineered and fabricated to hold the new platform in place. Bringing the deck up to just below the gunwale of the hull would give us the elevation for a better vantage point when sight fishing in shallow water, increase the usable space below deck in the storage compartments by up to 60%, as well as increase the overall width of the fishing platform by 10 inches on each side. This, coupled with extending the length of the deck by over 20 inches, means when it's all said and done, it'll feel like we're fishing from the flight deck of an aircraft carrier.
But that's not the only reason for extending the front platform. We're also going to create a sleek custom center console that's going to need a lot of space to attach itself to. This will be the most advanced helm and cockpit to ever grace a fishing boat, designed to make FNC-1 a state-of-the-art vessel. This was one of the most difficult elements of the rig to get right. Chuck and the boys built something like 9 or 10 tin mock-ups before the real thing could be cut and bent from aluminum.
One of the main performance modifications is to move the cockpit area back 28 inches in order to transfer the center of gravity behind the center line of the hull. This baby is going to get up on a dance floor and boogie like there's no tomorrow.
To further enhance this bad boy's ability to run high and fly, we've added a 10-inch hydraulic jack plate that completely changes the fulcrum of the hull. This supercharged Verado is going to make FNC-1 a true high-performance rod. Are you ready for the reveal?
One of the other significant changes we wanted to make to the cockpit was the seats. A true hot rod has to have custom bucket racing seats, and we found the ultimate solution. Shockwave, a Canadian company out of Victoria, BC, is a world leader in shock mitigation seating, featuring Fox H2O shocks. And they had the perfect bolt-on custom big water seats. These babies are built to military specs and are used by both the Canadian Coast Guard and US Navy. They were also used for the record-setting Northwest Passage runs. And now, they can add FNC-1 to their already impressive list of performance vessels. This baby is going to be the envy of every big water fisherman.
That feels fantastic.
Early season smiling. Something you won't see, but it's crucial to us, is we threw in an oversized gas tank. Now we can make super long runs down a lake or way up a winding river and not worry about getting back. You ever blow a breaker or GFI at your house? It's a pain in the butt and means something's wrong. There's no room or time for that out in the water. We had the entire electrical system and electronics spec'd out exactly the way we wanted it. We even installed a totally separate redundant backup battery and circuit system, just in case. A la NASCAR.
As an added safety feature and to complete the custom look, we added a hot-foot digital gas pedal, a center console complete with Merc digital controls, and hand paddles for both lift and trim functions. Both hands on the steering wheel are a must when this hot rod is dancing on its tiptoes. Since we had all this extra space available under the front deck, we decided to add some additional rod storage with an interesting new twist. This configuration runs east and west instead of north and south, and complements the full-length rod locker on the port side of FNC1. For today's special boat episode, we're giving you a hotspot that we accessed this season while pre-fishing for a tournament with our new Ultimate Fishing Machine. It's on the St. Lawrence River near Cornwall, Ontario. The waypoint on your screen will get you right there. We fished this spot many times, and it almost always produces a nice smallmouth bass or two. Current is the key here, as it is in most of the St. Lawrence. Drag a heavy tube jig or drop shot rig down current while trying to stay in contact with the bottom at all times. Green and brown seem to be the hottest colors here, as they imitate the now prolific goby, a main prey in the smallies diet. Please be careful, as this river is very powerful. For more hotspots like this one, check out fishingcanada.com.
Now, because this part of the boat has to absorb most of the impact energy when this baby runs wide open in really big water, we decided to supersize and reinforce the already strong factory bow plate for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's got to support this big Motor Guide XI5 36-volt long shaft digital trolling motor. And number two, it's got to support an extra large Garmin 10-inch GPS sonar unit. That's a big payload, especially when you crash through a 6-foot rogue wave. Remember, this baby is going to go places most boats fear to tread.
It's almost a shame that we have to cover up this beautifully sculptured aluminum subassembly. But this is a working platform, and we wanted a non-slip washable surface, so we decided to use this really cool looking checker plate rubber flooring that also happens to have a UV coating. It looks so good, we used it everywhere.
And now, are you ready for the reveal? Just how much does the baby cost?
Just a little...
Whoa. Here you go.
But first, let's see what the folks at Princecraft think. So first of all, we started working on this about 5 years ago, drawing it out. Never had the time to complete what we wanted to build the ultimate fishing boat. And that's what we've done. Hey, Petey, I think they like it.
Oh, yeah.
And now for the real test. Time to get this baby up on the dance floor. Since today's show was all about the creation of FNC1 and mostly shot in the Fab Shop, we thought it would be fitting to chronologically show you this beauty's maiden fishing route for the first season, once it was unleashed. With our home base of the Greater Toronto Area, FNC1's first trip was all the way up to the Nipigon River. We next rolled into the city of Kingston, then to Belleville, up to the Kawarthas, and into the Haliburton Highlands. Next was a trip to the Upper French River, then over to Lake Muskoka, and finally ending in Valleyfield, Quebec on the mighty St. Lawrence River, where she was unveiled to the Bass Tournament fraternity. In every location we hit, it was clear. This hot rod is the real deal. Keep an eye out for it on a lake near you.
Today's KLP is K for knowledge. Knowing about wear and tear on your fishing rig is essential in order to help avoid an unforeseen disaster during the season. Here's a few things that you should always keep an eye on: the fuel line and primer ball, loose rivets on aluminum boats, deep gouges on glass boats, live well and bilge pumps, battery terminals, running and anchor lights, the lower unit gear oil, and check the steering for play.
The Fishin' Canada Show, brought to you in part by Ram Trucks. Nothing works harder than a Ram. Stearns, trusted on the water since 1952. Mercury Outboards, #1 on the water. And Outdoor Canada, Canada's only national fishing and hunting magazine.